Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavan Ebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're continuing our study, Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on the 10th canto, and today we're beginning chapter number 33. Right? Before we go into chapter 33, we'll just have a review from the 32nd chapter. The 32nd chapter was the reunion, and we heard how Lord Krishna had come back after Gopi Gita, 31, the famous chapter, Gopi Gita, which is often recited. Anyway, 31, the beautiful songs of the gopis in their separation from Krishna led to the reunion. So 32, we heard how Lord Krishna reappeared to the gopis. It was certainly a challenge to the gopis. They've been searching for Krishna, and then finally the Lord appeared to them. And the gopis were puzzled. In some ways they were angry to Krishna. Although they didn't openly express their anger, there was no passion, but there was some anger that they felt that Krishna had not been very fair to them. And so they approached Lord Krishna with a riddle, and they asked Lord Krishna about different kinds of lovers. And we heard the gopis question about 3 different kinds of lovers. Those who are motivated, those who are unmotivated, and those who are indifferent. And Lord Krishna responded to them, and he explained to them that actually he was none of these people. The motivated, they're just like business people. They just simply engage in some kind of exchange with others. You give me, I will give you. You give me this, I'll give you that. It's a motivated, loving exchange is like a business. And we could say it's a common expression of loving dealings today. That loving dealings are often just based on lust. That what am I going to benefit? What am I going to get from this person? So Lord Krishna rejected the first kind. Then the second kind, he said this was actually the best because this was at least a religious principle. And the examples of that pure love was there, and the examples were given about pure devotees like Prahlad, and also examples of mother and father, parents, that they have genuine kind of love for their children, although the children may not be very appreciative. In the same way, pure devotees like Prahlad or Narada Muni, they're thinking how to deliver conditioned souls. And they have genuine concern for them. They have loving feelings for them. They try to help them to get out of the material world. And then there's the third kind of people who are indifferent. And there are different kinds of people who are indifferent. We heard there was the Atmarama, who is spiritually self-satisfied. And then there's the Upakama, person who he's materially satisfied. He has everything he wants materially. And then there's the Akritagna, or the how do we
Ungrateful.
Ungrateful, right. Ungrateful. Akritagna. Ungrateful people. They're given love, but they don't appreciate. And then we had the Guru Droha. Now I checked I managed to get hold of a copy of Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I checked out that reference there about Guru Droha, because the soft copy which I had was an unedited version, and there's some mistakes in it. So I'll read to you now what he actually said there in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's. Said the fourth type is the Guru Droha, who is who's inimical to the superiors. He does not acknowledge what others do for him. How he doesn't know what others do for him, but he shows excessive hostility towards them for no good reason. Those who have no reason for being inimical are called Alpadruha. They have no good reason, but they have some grudge or hate against others. So they're called Alpadruha. And then, so they're a lower type of Druha. Oh, someone has a reason for being inimical to someone. So they're different. They're also Guru Druha. Someone doesn't have a reason, someone has a reason. And then there are those who show hatred towards one who gives protection. And the other type of person they they're trying to injure someone who's trying to protect them. Yeah, they want to injure someone who is a faithful friend, but they will try to injure them. So 3 types of Guru Druha. They who do not respect others. So that was the Guru Druha. So yesterday we spoke about Lord Krishna's reply to the gopis, and we heard how Lord Krishna replied to them. And his words were so surprising that the gopis were speechless, because Lord Krishna he's glorifying them. And he's telling them, you've given up so much for me. And it was like Lord Krishna was saying he had been conquered by the gopis. But the gopis are thinking, Lord Krishna has conquered us by his humble submission to them. That he's telling them that there's no way I can repay you. So hearing Lord Krishna speak in this way, the whole of Vrindavan became affected. All the birds and the vines and the flowers and the fish, every living entity in Vrindavan, they all became stunned by these words of Lord Krishna. Because the holy Dham reciprocates with the mood of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna was talking in this way to the gopis, and the gopis were just speechless. They were just stunned that Lord Krishna is speaking to them in this way. He's glorifying them. And so they gave up any anger which they had in their hearts. They became very much appreciative of Lord Krishna. Of course, they always loved Krishna, But when Lord Krishna spoke in that way, when he touched their hearts, then they were even more appreciative to Krishna. So this was something from yesterday. Maybe some of you also want to add something more from yesterday's class.
Yes, Maharaj, I can add something. Why Krishna couldn't repay debt, you discussed. Why he cannot repay? You gave some reason, three reasons you gave. Then
Yes.
one was that gopis sacrificed a lot, like families, their attachment, Vedas, everything they gave for Krishna. But Krishna can't do so. So that's why Krishna said that I can't repay your debt. That was one. Another was that you said gopis wanted to please only Krishna, nothing in return they wanted. So, but Krishna, he wanted to please his devotees. So that was another reason you said. Another was that gopis was focusing only on Krishna, whereas Krishna has to focus on many things. For he all devotees, he has to all universe he has to maintain. So his focus was diverted all other places. So these are the reasons why Krishna said that I can't repay your debt.
Yes. Thank you. Very nice. Yeah, also one more thing was also the behavior of the gopis, that how the gopis behaved so meekly and humbly in their turmoil, in the tribulations which they were going through. Lord Krishna leaving them, they were feeling so much disturbed. They were so much. This Lord Krishna had also been teasing them that, oh, why are you coming to the forest? You should go home. You should be chaste wives and so on. So they were somewhat bewildered by Krishna, but at the same time they always behaved in a very gentle manner. They didn't become, really angry or passionate or anything. They kept their cool, as we would say, and in this way they won the heart of Lord Krishna. Yes. Anything else? Anyone want to add?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, you also discussed, told us that the gopis were saying, asking Krishna, that you don't reciprocate, you've not done any reciprocation with us. So then Lord says that I do not reciprocate immediately, and that there is a reason behind it, so that the devotion increases and it gets intensified. And you gave the example of the poor man, like who has lost his wealth and he keeps on thinking 24/7 of that wealth. So the Lord says that this Vipralamba bhav, this separation, it makes, you told us that quote, that it makes the heart grow fonder, but the familiarity beats contempt. So therefore, the Lord does not reciprocate immediately. And you also told us that the gopis, they inquired from the Lord that where do we fit in? Are we your devotees, or are we just ordinary devotees, or are we your eternal consorts? So the Lord says that you are the ultimate devotees, and there is no one dear to me as you are. And then you told us that yes, he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to pay off the debt of the gopis. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
Oh, yes, very nice. Thank you very much. Yes, Lord Krishna was just saying how when he's withholding his mercy from us, then he wants to see that we're going to intensify our mood of devotion for him. We have to become so much determined in our efforts to come to Krishna, to come to pure love of Krishna, we have to have that very strong desire that I want to get love of Krishna, I want to have that feeling for Krishna. And when the Lord sees our intense endeavor, then he will reciprocate. But if we don't see that reciprocation from him, it's a sign that we need to intensify our loving devotion. And then when the Lord does reveal himself to the devotee, even those who may have prema, he may reveal himself, he will again disappear from them again, just so that they can again increase their loving feeling, because they will feel themselves naturally very fallen and humble and unworthy. So the Lord wants to see the devotees, he wants to see them exhibit that quality of humility. And we know that when Lord Krishna had been dancing in the rasa dance with the gopis, and he saw how the gopis were feeling. They were feeling dominant. They were feeling that I'm successful, that I'm with Krishna, that Krishna's with me, I'm dancing. And at that time, Lord Krishna then separated himself. He disappeared from them. And this way, the gopis were brought again into a very humble mood, very, very humble and regretful of their thinking themselves to be dominant or superior. So in this way, Lord Krishna was having so many loving exchanges with the gopis, and enhancing their love more and more. All right? Anything else? I think we've covered everything. All right, so we're going to go on to chapter number 33 today. Right, chapter 33 is entitled The Rasa Dance. Right, there's been 5 this is the 5th chapter, all concerning with the gopis and the mood of the rasa dance. Very, very special chapters in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, chapter 33. Someone can read for us the first verse?
Sukadeva Goswami said, when the cowherd girls heard the Supreme Personality of Godhead speak these most charming words, they forgot their distress caused by separation from him. Touching him transcendental limbs, they felt all their desires fulfilled.
So the Lord Krishna had been telling the cowherd girls, the gopis, said, there's no way I can repay you. And he asked them to simply be happy with their own deeds. Let your own deeds be your own reward. He said, I'm not able to repay you. Which is something contrary. Lord Krishna, of course, has promised, as you surrender to me, I reward you accordingly. So the Lord seems like he broke his promise, but as we heard later on, the Lord would come and he would repay the gopis. When he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was able to repay that debt. Anyway, the gopis, they heard Lord Krishna speak charming words, telling them how much he was appreciating their loving devotion and the sacrifices they made. So they forgot all their distress, which they'd been feeling due to separation from him. Now the Lord is with them in their midst. So he's actually touching the they are touching Lord Krishna's transcendental limbs. So they felt all their desires fulfilled. Right? They're actually able to touch Lord Krishna. And we'll hear more how this takes place. All right, text number 2.
There on the Yamuna's banks, Lord Govinda then began the pastime of the Rasa dance in the company of those jewels among women, the faithful gopis who joyfully linked their arms together.
All right, so this pastime of Rasa Leela is taking place on the banks of the Yamuna, in the holy place of Vrindavan. The Rasa Stala is there, and the Lord is dancing with his gopis, this Rasa dance. Rasa, it's something like a utsava, like a festival, coming together. Lord Krishna is coming together with all of the gopis. How many gopis are there?
Three billion gopis, Maharaj.
Yeah, we heard there are 3 billion gopis. Of these, 16,000 are prominent. Okay, so these women are described as jewels among women. That they're very special ladies. Although they're young girls, they have very wonderful qualities, and because of their pious activities over many lifetimes, they have taken birth in the holy land of Vrindavan, in the family of the cowherd people, and they're able to take part in the pastimes of Lord Krishna. The Lord is appearing there in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the holy Dham. The Dham means a place where the Lord resides eternally. But 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna was actually manifest there. Today, he is there, but in his apricot form, the unmanifest form. But still today he's there, and he's performing his pastimes, like the Rasa dance. So the gopis are all gathered together with him, and they are linking their arms together. Right? So go ahead, we'll read text number 3.
Text number 3, translation. The festive Rasa dance commenced with the gopis arrayed in a circle. Lord Krishna expanded himself and entered between each pair of gopis, and as that master of mystic power placed his arms around their necks, each girl thought he was standing next to her alone. The demigods and their wives were overwhelmed with eagerness to witness the Rasa dance, and they soon crowded the sky with their hundreds of celestial airplanes. Should I read it proper, Maharaj?
Yes, well, if you like, you could do.
Purport. Srila Billamangala Thakura has written the following verse about the Rasa dance. Anganam antara madhavo madhavam chantarenangana idham akalpite mandale madhyaka sanjagau venuna devaki nandana. Lord Madhava was situated between each pair of gopis, and a gopi was situated between each pair of his manifestations. And Sri Krishna, the son of Devaki, also appeared in the middle of the circle, playing upon his flute and singing. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura points out that the gopis, maddened by love, were unable to understand that Sri Krishna had expanded himself so he could personally dance with each of them. Each gopi saw one manifestation of Krishna. The demigods and their wives, however, could see all his different manifestations as they watched the rasa dance from their airplanes, and thus they were completely astonished.
Thank you. All right, so this is the inconceivable potency of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, as we heard, the gopis had made a circle and Lord Krishna had entered between each pair of gopis. And as the master, he placed his arms around their necks. So, different ways we could understand it. Lord Krishna is in the middle of gopis, or gopis at one side. There's two gopis with Krishna in the middle. One gopi, and then another Krishna, different gopi. And this way, Lord Krishna somehow, by his mystic power, is expanding himself so that it appears like he's with each of the gopis. And each gopi was thinking Krishna is standing next to her. Lord Krishna's mystic power allows him to perform these different activities, just as he is in the heart of every living entity as the super soul. If he desires, he can also be outside the heart, and he can be standing beside each and every person. And for the pleasure of the gopis, Lord Krishna appeared like that, and each girl thought that Lord Krishna was with her alone. Then we're told the demigods and their wives were witnessing this. Now, who are these demigods? Well, some people say that these are not the demigods of the material world, but these are the demigods from the spiritual world. And they have come to witness this wonderful pastime of Lord Krishna. This rasa dance is not seen by just anybody. Even the demigods, material demigods, are not so qualified. We know Lakshmi was not able to enter into the Rasa Leela, even though she performed austerities for a long time. And Lord Shiva, he was able to get into Rasa Leela, but before he could do that, he had to take birth and take the body of a gopi. He had to become a woman and take on the body of a gopi, and then only he could enter into Rasa Leela. So Lord Shiva, of course, he's given the benediction of being Gop-ishwara, and he resides there in Vrindavan as Gop-ishwara, as the form of a gopi. But the point is that to actually see this rasa dance is very special. And it said even those people who were flying in the airplanes, the demigods with their wives, the demigods, they were able to see Krishna dancing, but they were not able to see the gopis. So they were not allowed to see the intimate pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis. They could see Lord Krishna dance, but they could not see the gopis. They could not see the intimate dealings which was taking place between Krishna and his gopis. So, in the purport, we were given that beautiful verse which Bhava Mangal Thakur had written about the rasa dance. And he describes also how Lord Krishna is situated between each pair of gopis. So there's one gopi, and then Lord Krishna, then another gopi. And then there's another Krishna and another gopi. And the gopi was situated between each pair of his manifestations. And Lord Krishna is described as the son of Devaki. But this Devaki, this means also Mother Yashoda. Because Yashoda Mata, she's also known as Devaki. She has two names. So when it says the son of Devaki, this means actually the son of Yashoda, the lady who we know as Yashoda. Devaki just being her other name. And so he's described, he is in the middle of the circle, playing his flute and singing. So in this way, the gopis were unable to understand how Lord Krishna had expanded himself, because they have so much love for Krishna. They're thinking they're able to dance with Krishna. So the gopis, they only saw one Krishna, but the demigods and their wives, they could see all his different forms. So they were astonished. Okay, we'll go ahead. Text number 4.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Before reading, I have found out, Maharaj.
Yes.
How many gopis are taking part in Rasa dance? We are normally we are thinking 16,108.
Yes. Well, we're not told exactly how many, but we're told there are 300 million gopis. How many are actually there in the Rasa dance? We're not actually told.
Okay. Thanks, Maharaj. Number 4. Text number 4. Translation. Kettle drums then resounded in the sky while flowers rained down, and the chief Kandravas and their wife sung Lord Krishna's spotless glories. Purport. As stated here, Lord Krishna glories in dancing. The Rasa dance is a pure spiritual bliss. The demigod in heaven, in charge of maintaining property in the universe, ecstatically accepted the Rasa dance as the ultimate religious affair, completely different from the perverted reflections of romance we find in this mundane world. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Kettle drums were resounding and flowers were raining down. And the Gandharvas and their wives are singing Lord Krishna's glories. And so we're hearing the description of this wonderful Utsava. When there's a festival, then, it's like that. There's a lot of when there's festivals in the temples, it's like that. There's a lot of noise and different singing, and kirtan is going on. Flowers are being thrown. This way, this Rasa dance is taking place in Vrindavan. And it's the autumn night. It's the major, although Lord Krishna can dance his Rasa dance any time of the year, but there's a special season, special time in the autumn season, the Sarat, month of Sarat, and particularly Sarat Purnima, a very special night. It said Lord Krishna dances Rasa Leela, particularly at that time. And at that time, of course, the forest of Vrindavan is very beautiful. The rainy season has come, gone, the flowers are blooming. There's fragrant flowers blooming everywhere. And it's not cold, it's not too hot. And people are in a nice, happy mood. So when people are happy, they will like to sing and glorify Lord Krishna. So in this way, the festival is being described, how Lord Krishna initiated this Rasa Lila festival. And the demigods are also taking part. They're happy to join in. The pastimes of the Lord are not material. They're always transcendental. So when we hear about these kind of affairs, we hear about men and women coming together and dancing, and we will hear about them touching each other, and we'll think of it in some material way. We'll think of it in terms of something, maybe something from the material world that we know goes on in material life. Young people coming together, young lovers, and they experience this kind of dealings with each other. But we can never compare the activities of Lord Krishna with the gopis to these kind of affairs of the material world. What goes on in the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And the spiritual world is this affair, this loving dealings between Krishna and the gopis. This is the highest, this is the perfection of all spiritual exchange. And it has nothing to do with the bodily concept of life. It's completely pure and transcendental. We point out that when Lord Krishna is performing this rasa dance, how old is he? What is his age?
11 years.
8.
8, yes, right. He's 8 years old. And so, you know, a young boy, 8 years old, he's not going to be lusty. He's not going to be chasing after women for sexual activities. Lord Krishna is exhibiting the pastimes of the spiritual world. And the Rasa Lila is the highest of all activities which take place in the spiritual world. It's the highest loving exchange between Lord Krishna and his very topmost devotees, the gopis of Vrindavan. But the material world is just a perverted reflection. Everything going on in the material world is just so perverted, so unpleasant, so painful. We're looking for enjoyment. We think we can enjoy romance, but it all causes so much suffering and pain. And so that is the nature of mundane dealings on the bodily platform. And come together with people. How long can you be together? One person will go away, either there will be divorce or the other person will die, and this way we will be separated. And so this is the nature of romance in the material world. But real love means to Krishna, the exchange between Lord Krishna and his devotees. That is the ultimate perfection. And this is the purpose of the rasa dance. As is stated here, the rasa dance as the ultimate religious affair. You see, it's not anything material. We may think religious, dancing. Yes, dancing also. It's a spiritual activity. Just like when we perform kirtan in the temple, dancing, it's not material. It's meant to be, it's it's a spiritual activity. We are dancing in the kirtan for the pleasure of the deities. So the same way the gopis have come to Vrindavan and they're dancing in the Rasa Lila with Lord Krishna. And it's pointed out that this Rasa dance, it is not arranged by Krishna, but it's arranged by the Rasa Lila itself. That Rasa Lila itself is one potency of the Lord, and it is arranged to bring the Lord together with his devotees for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. And by seeing Lord Krishna happy, the gopis also become happy. And when Lord Krishna sees the gopis are happy, he becomes more happier. And in this way they both expand their pleasure and happiness. We heard that Lord Krishna is not very beautiful on his own, but when he is with all his potencies, then he is very beautiful. So similarly, these gopis, these are the internal potency of Lord Krishna, and they have come to dance with Lord Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan to perform this wonderful pastime of rasa dance. And it's so wonderful that even great demigods want to see this. And goddesses like Lakshmi desire to take part in the rasa dance. It's said in Vrindavan, there's the one deity of Lakshmi, where she's praying for the mercy of the Brijbasi people. Usually people all worship Lakshmi to get blessings. We like to get the blessings from Lakshmi. But in Vrindavan, Lakshmi comes to Vrindavan to get blessings herself. And what blessing did she wanted to be blessed, that she could take part in the rasa dance. But even though she did austerities for a long time, she was not able to get that benediction. Rather, the Lord had to tell her that this is not your position. You're not able to take part in this kind of activity. Before you can take part in the rasa dance, you'd have to become a gopi. You'd have to take birth in the family of the cowherd people. But you're the goddess of fortune. You're used to opulent living and comforts and luxury. You're the goddess of fortune. You cannot just simply pick up cow dung and make cow dung patties and take care of cows. That is not your nature. So anyway, the Lord gave Lakshmi the blessing that she could reside on his chest. And that's where Lakshmi is found, that she is residing on the chest of the Lord. And you go to the temples, especially the temples of Lord Vishnu, we will see Lakshmi is residing there. Just like Lord Nrsingadev, Lakshmi is with him as his consort. She's residing on his chest. So this is the position of Lakshmi. But the cowherd girls, they are very special. They are able to dance in this rasa dance. When we look at the people of Vrindavan today, it's not very easy to understand how they could be such great devotees. But certainly the people of Vrindavan, they have a natural attraction for the holy name of Krishna, the holy name of the Lord. If you ever have the opportunity to do kirtan there in Vrindavan, you will be surprised to see the enthusiasm which the people of Vrindavan have for the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. And they also are very well versed in the pastimes of the Lord Krishna. That they grow up in the land, they take birth in the land of Vrindavan, and their life is Krishna. They don't know anything else except Krishna. Although they appear to be somewhat niggardly, they don't appear so opulently, but in the times of Lord Krishna, they were certainly opulent. Nanda Maharaj was not a poor man. He had 9 lakh cows, and he had a lot of milk and ghee and cheese and so on. And so today we only see a very perverted vision of these activities and among the people of the cowherd families. They don't look very spiritual, but actually, if you know them, if you get to know them and can communicate with them, they're very advanced devotees. In Chaitanya Lila, one devotee, I think it was Damodar Pandit, he was going to go to Vrindavan, and Lord Chaitanya told him, don't try to associate with the people of Vrindavan. He told him, he said, you are not on their level. So Lord Chaitanya was pointing out to this devotee that he was going to Vrindavan. He said, don't think you're on the level of these people of Vrindavan. They are very special devotees because they've taken birth in the holy land of Braja and they're completely attached to Krishna. They have that very deep faith and love for Lord Krishna. And the gopis of Vrindavan, they're all from these families of these cowherd people. So the first offense in residing in the holy dham, just like we have 10 offenses in chanting the holy name, there's 10 offenses in residing in the holy dham. And the first offense is we should not blaspheme any resident of the holy dham, any of the dhamvasis. That would be very bad because they're all very special souls because they've taken birth in the holy land. All right, we'll go ahead. Text number 5.
Text number 5, translation. A tumultuous sound arose from the armlets, ankle bells, and waist bells of the gopis as they spotted with their beloved Krishna in the circle of the rasa dance.
Yes, okay, so the sound from the armlets, ankle bells, and waist bells of the gopis as they sported. So the women know how to decorate themselves, and they decorate themselves in this way that they have waist bells, ankle bells, armlets, and when they move, they make nice, pleasant sounds. And when they're dancing with Krishna in this rasa dance, then their different bells are ringing and it's very pleasant. You could imagine if there are thousands of gopis there and they're all dancing with Krishna, and each of the gopis, they have these armlets and ankle bells, wrist bells and waist bells, and they're ringing pleasantly. So this is the standard decoration for people in the villages, that they will dress like this. They will, even today, we will see the women today, how they have these different things, ankle bells, waist bells, and so on. This is standard decoration for a woman. And women also like to dance. wherever we go and do kirtan, we will often see ladies come, how eager they are to dance, and they like to take part, just as Lord Krishna brought all the gopis to the rasa dance. So it's a spiritual activity. However, it's not something which we just do for our own sense gratification. We don't dance just to show off that, oh, I'm a great dancer, look at me. But rather, the mood is we dance for the pleasure of the deities, for the pleasure of Krishna. And Prabhupada instructed us how we should dance. And Prabhupada would also control how we would dance. Sometimes he would have to correct us, sometimes he would have to stop us and show us how we should be dancing. Okay, text number 6.
Krishna, in the midst of the dancing gopis, the Lord Krishna appeared most brilliant, like an exquisite sapphire in the midst of golden ornaments. Purport: Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura states that Devaki, besides being the name of Vasudeva's wife, is also a name of Mother Yashoda, as stated in the Adi Purana. Dve namni Nanda Bharyaya Yashoda Devakiti Cha. The wife of Nanda has 2 names, Yashoda and Deva. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So, Lord Krishna appeared most brilliant, like an exquisite sapphire. A sapphire, what color is sapphire? Anyone know? Blue, yes, right? Huh? Yes, it's sapphire. Sapphire is generally blue, in the midst of golden ornaments, right? Where are the golden ornaments?
Ankle belts.
Yes, the
belts.
gopis are all dressed in golden ornaments, right? Nowadays, we don't see so much golden ornaments. We see very, very cheap imitations of the real thing. But in the times of the gopis and Lord Krishna, people were dressed in golden ornaments. And so golden ornaments, they're yellow color. And here we have Krishna is like the exquisite sapphire, right? So blue and yellow. And when they combine together, what color do they become? Blue and yellow. Any artists here?
Green, Maharaj.
Huh?
Green.
Yes,
Emerald.
green. Right, yes, emerald, right. Becomes like an emerald, right. So this is the pastime here, that Lord Krishna's like the sapphire in the midst of golden ornaments. And the combination together makes it green, like the emerald. Okay, we'll go ahead. Text number 7.
Yes. Translation. As the gopis sang in praise of Krishna, their feet danced, their hands gestured, and their eyebrows moved with playful smiles. With their braids and belts tight, their waist bending, their faces perspiring, the garments of their breast moving this way and that, and their earrings swinging on their cheeks, Lord Krishna's young consort shone like streaks of lightning in a mass of clouds. Purport. Siddha Swami explains that according to the analogy of lightning flashing in clouds, the perspiration on the lovely faces of the gopis resembled drips of mist, and their singing resembled thunder. The word agranthaya may also be read agranthaya, meaning loosened. This would indicate that although the gopis began the dance with their hair and belts tightly drawn, these gradually slackened and loosened. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that the gopis were expert at exhibiting mudras, precise hand gestures that express feelings or convey meanings associated with the names with the theme of a performance. Thus, sometimes Krishna and the gopis would artistically move their interlocked arms together, and sometimes they would separate arms and exhibit mudras to act out the meaning of the songs they were singing. The word Padanyasya indicates that the gopis artistically and gracefully trace the steps of their dancing feet in an enchanting way, and the words Smater Bhu Vilasar indicate that the romantic movements of their eyebrows, smiling with love, were most charming to behold. Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're told now that they're not only dancing, the gopis are also singing. And they're singing songs in praise of Krishna. You know, often we find when we have kirtan, the people who dance, they don't sing. Especially, you get somebody who plays the mridanga, he doesn't sing, he just plays the drum. Very difficult to get people all to sing. Anyway, here the gopis are dancing, they're also singing. Their feet are dancing and they're singing. And their hands are gesturing, and their eyebrows are moving with playful smiles. And they're happy, right? Just like sometimes when we see the Bharatanatyam, we'll see the ladies perform Bharatanatyam and how they move their different eyebrows and express different feelings and emotions from the movements of their eyes and their smiles. And their hands. So everything like that, every motion, there's some meaning to it. So similarly, the gopis, they were dressed for this ras, and their braids and belts were tied tight, but gradually the garments began to move. They became slackened. And their earrings were swinging, and they were perspiring. But it described these young consorts shone like streaks of lightning in a mass of clouds. So an analogy is given. Streaks of lightning in a mass of clouds. And so this is explained in the purport by Sridhar Swami, that the perspiration on the faces of the gopis is like drops of mist, and their singing is like thunder. So thunder and lightning, drops of mist, rain. Although the gopis began to dance, their hair and belts gradually slackened and loosened. Naturally, when you dance in the kirtan, then these things happen. We all have experience when we're dancing vigorously, and then the clothes become somewhat loosened on our bodies. So the gopis they were dancing vigorously. And they're also expert in mudras, using their hands to convey different meanings. And sometimes we see this thing also in Bharatanatyam, how the ladies move their hands. And sometimes even when the ladies are dancing in kirtan, we will see them also do different mudras. Just like in Gora Arti, sometimes they will move their hands to express different things which are being described in the Gora Arti, blowing the conch shell and playing the kartals and like this. So the gopis, all the young girls, they know these things. Although they're only young girls, young children, they know all these different mudras. And they know how to express these different feelings. Oh, of course, it's very common among Hindu people. You know, when you go in India, We see people often convey feelings just by their eyes, you know. They can move their eyes certain ways and just different facial expressions to convey different meanings and different moods. So the gopis, these young gopis, they're very familiar with all of these things. And while they're dancing, they're performing these different mudras. So sometimes their arms were locked together, and sometimes they would separate them and act out some mudras, act out the meaning of the songs they were singing. So we have to understand how the gopis were artistic and graceful, and they could dance in a very pleasing manner. So this is the whole mood of the rasa dance, that everything, there's so much feeling of love, smiling with love, movements of the eyebrows, and everything is pleasing and charming to look at. So this is the real utsava, the real festival which is taking place. And the gopis and Lord Krishna, they have come together just for this. The parallel pastime in Chaitanya Lila, of course Chaitanya Lila, he would have kirtan in the home of Srivas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya, when he was having kirtan in the home of Srivas Thakur, the doors were closed. It was not a public event. Just like the Rasa Leela, not everyone could come to Rasa Leela. Even Lord Shiva had to give up his body and become a woman to enter, and Lakshmi was not allowed to enter. So very restrictive. Who was allowed to come to Rasa Leela to take part in this? So similarly, in the times of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would have kirtan in the home of Srivas Pandit, the nocturnal kirtan. Every night they would meet together. Lord Chaitanya decided, he said, why we should spend so much time sleeping at night? We will simply meet and have kirtan every night. And so all the devotees would gather in the home of Srivas, and they would have kirtan every night. And the mood would be similar to the Rasa Leela, a parallel pastime. So when we are dancing in kirtan, we should understand that this pastime, the dancing in the kirtan, this is a very spiritual activity. We should not think of it to be anything mundane or foolish or childish. Rather, it's a movement of the highest loving expression between Krishna and his devotees. So we have to have the right mood in dancing for Krishna. Okay, we'll go ahead. Text number 8.
Hare Krishna. Eager to enjoy conjugal love, their throats colored with various pigments, the gopis sang loudly and danced. They were overjoyed by Krishna's touch, and they sang songs that fill the entire universe. Purport. According to an authoritative book on music called Sangeeta Sara Tavanta Eva Raga Suryavatyo Jiva Jatayah Teshu Shodasha Sahasri Pura Gopi Krutavara. There are as many musical ragas as there are species of life. Among these ragas are 16,000 principal ones, which were manifested by the gopis. Thus, the gopis created 16,000 different ragas or musical modes, and these have subsequently been disseminated throughout the world. The words Yat Gitenedam Avritam also indicate that even today, devotees throughout the world sing the praises of Krishna, following the examples of the gopis. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we're hearing more about the singing which the gopis are doing. They were overjoyed by Krishna's touch. Lord Krishna's touching, maybe holding their hand and like that, or embracing them. So they're so ecstatic. And when you're happy, when you're enjoying, then certainly you will sing more, you will sing with greater feeling. And your kirtan will be even better. You know, when the mood is right for the kirtan, when you have that mood that you're actually feeling happy and comfortable and so glad to be doing kirtan, you don't want to be doing anything else. You're there in the kirtan and you're enjoying the kirtan, then you can let go emotionally and just enter into the kirtan, the ocean of kirtan. So the gopis, they're singing songs that filled the entire universe. And they're singing loudly and dancing. This is the mood, this is conjugal love. And then we're told how the gopis were singing different ragas. Usually we'd hear this term raga, you know, maybe some famous sitar player or like that they will play some ragas. And we're told there are as many musical ragas as there are species of life. So that's a lot of ragas, right? 8,400,000. So, and of these ragas, 16,000 were manifested by the gopis. So the gopis had created these 16,000 different ragas, and they've gone around the world. Music, of course, is also part of the Vedic culture. And we will hear how the gopis, some of them are very expert musicians. One instrument which is closest to the human voice, it's a veena. And we will hear. You know who plays the veena?
Narad Muni.
And Saraswati.
Saraswati.
Yes, but there's somebody else also. The most foremost of all.
Mira.
Radha Rani. Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani. You know, Srimati Radharani has many wonderful qualities. And we're told there are some particular qualities which are especially pleasing and attractive to Lord Krishna. You know what they are? What is Srimati Radharani? Huh? Cooking. Yes, cooking. Yes, she's a very expert cook. She was given the blessings by Durvasa that whatever she cooked would be just like nectar. So when Mother Yashoda heard how Srimati Radharani had this blessing, then she asked Srimati Radharani that, would you like to come and cook for Lord Krishna? Because Lord Krishna goes out to the forest every day. So when he comes home in the evening, he'd be very hungry. Would you like to come and prepare his evening meal? So Srimati Radharani would go and she would cook over the hot fires the whole day, many different preparations, preparing them for Lord Krishna's pleasure. Yeah, she's a very expert cook. And there's one more thing which she's also very, actually everything she's very expert in, but there's particular activity which is especially pleasing to Lord Krishna. Cooking was one, and there's one more. Anyone?
Singing.
Yeah, she is also a very nice singer, but Lord Krishna takes a special pleasure in her dancing. That Radharani is also a very expert dancer. And you know, if you like to dance, then you like to have a partner who can dance also, you know. So Lord Krishna enjoys very much to dance with Srimati Radharani. The two of them come together and they enjoy dancing together. And there's a place there in Varsana where the peacocks are. At one point, Radha and Krishna, they danced like the peacocks. And the peacocks also enjoyed seeing Radha and Krishna dance. It's a special pastime there. All right, so ragas, the different ragas are there, and the gopis created these different ragas. And they're able to sing these different songs, different ragas. And devotees throughout the world sing the praises of Krishna, following the example of the gopis. Right? We try to emulate the example of the gopis. Not very easy, but this should be the mood. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Das Anudasa, following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. All right. So text number 9.
Text number 9. One gopi, joining Lord Mukunda in his singing, sang pure melodious tones that rose harmoniously above his. Krishna was pleased and showed great appreciation for her performance, saying, "Excellent, excellent." Then another gopi repeated the same melody, but in the special metrical pattern, and Krishna praised her also.
All right, thank you. Yes, one gopi joined Lord Mukunda in his singing and sang pure melodious tones that rose harmoniously above his. So you can imagine you're singing and another gopi comes along and they start singing and they sing above you. And Lord Krishna was pleased and he showed great appreciation for her performance. He said, excellent. And he actually gave her some reward for doing this. Do you know who that gopi was? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells us that this first gopi who was singing, who Lord Krishna was so pleased with, this was the gopi Vishaka. And then another gopi repeated the same melody, but in a special metrical pattern. And Krishna praised her also. So someone came along and did even better. And Lord Krishna, so he also, and this second gopi, this was Lalita. So understand that how the gopis, they're very special. They have a lot of culture. They know how to perform the different mudras, and they know singing also. Just like in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there were the students from Jiva Goswami, the 3 students. There was Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit, and Srinivas Acharya. And they were sent by Jiva Goswami. They were his top students, and they were sent by him to go back to Bengal and Orissa and preach the message of Mahaprabhu. And they were all wonderful kirtaniers. They were wonderful, wonderful musicians. And when they did kirtan, you know, people's hearts would just be conquered. They'd just be stunned. You know, within our Krishna consciousness movement, we have also some very nice kirtaniers. We enjoy hearing different kirtaniers. So here we have the example of the gopis and how they're giving so much pleasure to Lord Krishna, and they can sing so expertly. Okay, I think we'll stop here, have a break. Okay, we'll take a 15-minute break. Hare Krishna. Welcome back, everyone. All right, so we're up to text number 10. Who's reading?
Yes, Maharaj. Translation. When one gopi grew tired from the rasa dance, she turned to Krishna, standing at her side holding a baton, and grasped his shoulder with her arm. The dancing had loosened her bracelets and the flowers in her hair. Purport. The previous verse states that Sri Krishna honored the gopis for their dancing and singing. And in this verse, we see how the gopis responded by dealing intimately and confidently with him. Here, a tired gopi held on to Krishna's shoulder with her arm resting against him. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that the word gada in this verse indicates a baton suitable for a dancing master. Lord Krishna brought this item of paraphernalia to enhance his enjoyment of the rasa dance. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti states that the gopi mentioned here is Srimati Radharani, whereas the two gopis mentioned in the previous verses are in order Vishakha and Lalita. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So it said, you know, when Vishaka first sang, Lord Krishna was very pleased with her. He gave his yellow chadar. He took off his yellow chadar and gave it to her. And then after Vishaka had sang, then Lalita came and sang even better, even more difficult, higher mudra voice singing. And Lord Krishna then honored her also. And he gave her some, he gave her, what was it? He gave his slippers to her, and he gave some other things, I can't remember now. Vishwanath Chakravarti described. Anyway, he rewarded them. And then now here, the third gopi is coming, and this is Srimati Radharani, and how she's intimate with Lord Krishna. We'll hear more. Who's reading next verse, text number 11?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Translation, text 11. Upon the shoulder of one gopi, Krishna placed his arm, whose natural blue lotus fragrance was mixed with that of the sandalwood pulp, anointing it. As the gopi relished that fragrance, her bodily hair stood on end and in jubilation, and she kissed his arm.
So Lord Krishna's fragrance is described. Blue lotus, very special fragrance coming from the blue lotus flower, and it was mixed with the sandalwood pulp. So very special fragrance, and the gopis relishing that fragrance, and it's so wonderful that her bodily hairs are standing in jubilation, and she kisses his arm. All right, text number 12.
Next to Krishna, Suk on Kobi put her on, beautified by the ebullience of her earrings, which glittered as she danced. Krishna then carefully gave her the A betel nut he was chewing.
Oh, so again, more intimacy in their dealings. Next to Krishna's cheek, one gopi put her own cheek next to Krishna's cheek, and then the effulgence of her earrings is glittering. Krishna gave her the betel nut. Another, the betel nut from his mouth he was chewing, he gave it to her. Wouldn't you like that, to be able to receive the betel nut from the mouth of Lord Krishna? Okay.
Yes.
Text number 13.
Another gopi became fatigued as she danced and sang. The bells on her ankles and wrist tinkling. So she placed upon her breast the comforting lotus hand of the Lord Achyuta, who was standing by her side.
All right.
Thank you.
Another gopi fatigued from dancing, and the bells on her waist tinkling. So she placed upon her breasts the comforting lotus hand of Lord Achyuta. Because she's feeling some burning lust within her mind, and by taking the hand of Lord Achyuta and placing it on her breast, she's able to pacify her mind from the burning lust. Her loving feeling for Lord Krishna. All right, go ahead. Text number 14.
Having attained as their intimate lover Lord Achyuta, the exclusive consort of the goddess of fortune, the gopis enjoyed great pleasure. They sang his glories as he held their necks with his arms.
So the goddess of fortune is described, the exclusive consort of the goddess of fortune. Lord Krishna is the consort of the goddess of fortune. But the gopis are so fortunate, they're able to enjoy his pleasure, his company. Text 15, an important verse.
Text 15. Enhancing the beauty of the gopis' faces were the lotus flowers behind their ears, the lock of hair decorating their cheeks, and drops of perspiration. The reverberation of their armlets and ankle bells made a loud musical sound, and their chaplets scattered. Thus the gopis danced with the Supreme Lord in the arena of the rasa dance, as swarms of bees sang in accompaniment. Hare Krishna, thank you.
So the gopis are described like swarms of bees singing in accompaniment. So the gopis are all dancing with the Lord, and the different sounds are being described. The ankle bells made loud musical sounds. And the gopis danced, and they're perspiring. They've been dancing for some time. And Vrindavan, of course, it's autumn season. It's still quite warm. It's not cold, and so they're perspiring, and their flowers are falling from their hair. Drops of perspiration running down their face, but they're so happy to be with Lord Krishna. Go ahead, text 16. Yes, text 16. Who's next to read?
Prema Manjari. Text 16. In this way, Lord Krishna, the original Lord Narayana, master of the goddess of ocean, took pleasure in the company of the young women of Raja by embracing them, caressing them, then glancing lovingly at them, as he smiled his broad, playful smiles. It was just as if a child were playing with his own reflection. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comment as follows on this verse. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme absolute truth, and his potency are unlimited, all this potency. Taking personal form, engage Lord Krishna in his pastime, just as the opulent manifestation of its own supreme transcendental potency manifests all the causeless potency of the Lord. So in the Rasa dance, Krishna manifests himself as many times as there are various potency represented by the gopis. Everything is Krishna, but by his desire, a spiritual energy, Yogamaya, manifests the gopi. When his eternal potency Yogamaya does produce such pastime for the enchantment of his transcendental emotion, it is just like a young boy playing with his own reflection. But since the pastime are created by his spiritual potency, they are eternal and self-manifesting.
Thank you so much. This is a very, very important purport. Here, we should understand the significance. You know, people sometimes they will challenge us that, oh, how you can worship Krishna. He is just a womanizer. Then he dances with other men's wives. Then he touches their bodies and so on. So here we have an explanation of what is actually happening in the Rasa Lila. Right? That Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and the gopis are all his different internal potencies. They're all manifested from his internal potency. And this pastime of the Rasa Lila is performed for his transcendental pleasure. The example is given just like a young boy plays with his own reflection. So the gopis are compared like that. They're his own potency. We say, it's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is being quoted that Lord Krishna, by his desire, Yoga Maya manifests the gopis. The gopis are not ordinary young girls. They're manifestations of the internal potency of the Lord. And they're coming to take part in the Lord's pastimes for his pleasure. So we have to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord, that God is a person, and he has energies, he has potencies, and he performs activities. If, you know, some people think, oh, for example, in Christianity, they think God is some old man with a beard. Or some places they think God is light, or God is some impersonal feature, right? But here we should actually understand the nature of the Lord, that he is the supreme absolute truth. You see, people want to understand these confidential pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis. Before they try to understand that, let them first of all go through the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 9 cantos describing about Lord Krishna, and they're describing about his actual potencies and his energies and his manifestations. But then when you come to the 10th canto, then we hear about the actual confidential activities of Lord Krishna. And so people, unfortunately, they hear the wrong things. They're not actually qualified to hear about Lord Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. They cannot understand them. They want to understand them, then go back to the beginning. Go back and learn about the four regulative principles, give up meat eating, and so on, and then sit down with the Bhagavad Gita and learn the Bhagavad Gita. Learn that you're not the material body, that you're a spirit soul. Without understanding our own self, we will never be able to understand the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we're hearing about his very confidential activities. These very confidential activities are not meant for non-believers. They're meant for those who are genuine devotees, who have gone through the preliminaries and who understand something of the potencies of the Supreme Lord. So here we have a nice explanation about Lord Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami describing how he took pleasure in the company of the gopis, the young women of Braja. Yes, he's embracing them, loving them, but it's like a child playing with his own reflection. Because Lord Krishna is not simply a cowherd boy. He is the original Lord Narayan, who is the master of the goddess of fortune. So he is not just any ordinary young child. So foolish people cannot understand the nature of these transcendental activities. And then they go on, they commit offense. So we have to be very careful. Well, so the ninth offense is to instruct the intimate glories of the Lord to faithless people. We don't preach these things to faithless people. We have to first of all create their faith. They have to develop their faith. And then when they're qualified to hear these things, then we can explain to them. So, as it says here, these pastimes are created by his spiritual potency. They are eternal and self-manifesting. So the nature of the Rasa Lila is like that. It's spiritual potency. And it's eternally going on. Lord Krishna is eternally dancing Rasa Lila. And it's self-manifested. It's not coming from the modes of nature. It's nothing material. It's a pure and transcendental activity. Okay? We'll go ahead. Text 17. Someone read?
Their senses overwhelmed by the joy of having his physical association, the gopis could not prevent their hair, their dresses, and the clothes covering their breasts being disheveled, their garlands and ornaments scattered. O hero of the Kudi dynasty.
All right, thank you. So we're hearing the effect on the gopis. They're so overjoyed having physical association with the Lord, and their hair, their dresses, their clothes, all becoming disheveled, and their garlands and ornaments are scattered. Naturally, dancing, it's an energetic dancing, and so their whole appearance will be somewhat disturbed. Their hair loosened and clothes slackened. Okay, go ahead. Next text, 18.
The wives of the demigods, observing Krishna's playful activities from their airplanes, were entranced and became agitated with lust. Indeed, even the moon and his entourage, the stars, became astonished.
All right? So the moon, because it's the full moon night, so the moon is also witnessing, and his entourage, mean the stars which surround the moon, they're also witnessing this. The moon and the stars, although they're male, but they're just amazed to see this wonderful pastime taking place. The wives of the demigods, they were seeing Krishna's, they were agitated with lust. You know, women, when they see another woman enjoying with a man, then the woman will also become agitated with lust. She sees the one woman enjoying the embrace and the loving dealings with a man, and so the woman wants to also experience this. And so similarly, the wives in the airplane, the wives of the demigods in the airplanes, they saw the gopis, how fortunate they were that they were enjoying such wonderful dealings with Lord Sri Krishna. And even, it's so wonderful, even the stars and the moon became astonished. Go ahead, next verse.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Expanding himself as many times as there were cowherd women to associate with the Supreme Lord, those self-satisfied, playfully enjoyed their company. Purport. As Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out, it has already been explained that Lord Krishna is eternally free from all material desire, perfect on the platform of spiritual self-satisfaction. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Lord Krishna he has expanded himself into an equal number of cowherd women. So each woman is thinking she is associating with the Supreme Lord. Although the Lord is self-satisfied, he is enjoying their company. So we heard Lord Krishna is Atmarama. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't need to have this association with the gopis, but he's doing it. He's playfully enjoying their company. His desire is to please the gopis. The gopis' desire is to please Krishna. And Lord Krishna is Bhaktavatsala. He reciprocates with the love of his devotees. So Lord Krishna, he is free from all material desire, but he's enjoying spiritual relationships with the gopis. This is, we have to be reminded again and again when we hear this, because we're conditioned souls, and we've watched so many movies and read so many stories and love stories and things, and we've heard so many different things. And so when we think of Lord Krishna enjoying with the gopis, then we think of it also like being something which we've heard before from the material world. But we have to understand that the material world is just the perverted reflection of all of these things. And the real love and real transcendental feelings and emotions are exhibited in the spiritual world between Lord Krishna and his devotees. Go ahead, text number 20.
Seeing that the gopis were fatigued with conjugal enjoyment, my dear king, merciful Krishna lovingly wiped their faces with his comforting hand.
All right. So the gopis had been dancing, and they were dancing energetically. They were trying their best to satisfy Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna himself is Nataraj, he's a great dancer. And see, the gopis naturally would all want to dance nicely to please him. And so they became tired. So Lord Krishna could understand that they were feeling some fatigue, and so with his comforting hand, he wipes their faces. He's concerned for his devotees. He takes care of them. Go ahead, next verse.
The gopis honored their hero with smiling glances, sweetened by the beauty of their cheeks, and the effulgence of their curly locks and glittering golden earrings. Overjoyed from the touch of his fingernails, they chanted the glories of his all-auspicious transcendental pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. So the gopis honored their hero. They're not feeling any inconvenience. They're smiling, and they're effulgent, and they're overjoyed from the touch of his fingernails. Lord Krishna's fingernails, maybe touching them or holding their hand, and they're feeling so much pleasure. In this way, they're chanting the glories of Lord Krishna's wonderful pastimes. All right, so what happens next? 22, text 22.
Lord Krishna's garland had been crushed during his conjugal dalliance with the gopis and colored vermilion by the kumkuma powder on their breasts. To dispel the fatigue of the gopis, Krishna entered the water of the Yamuna, followed swiftly by bees who were singing like the best of the Gandharva. He appeared like a lordly elephant, entering the water to relax in the company of his consorts. Indeed, the Lord had transgressed all worldly and Vedic morality, used a powerful elephant might break the dikes in a Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the Lord had transgressed all worldly and Vedic morality. So, who could tell me what is this? What has the Lord Krishna done which transgressed all worldly and Vedic morality? Maybe you know, Prabhu?
He's dancing with the other people's wives.
Yes, right. He brought these gopis, young girls, married women, many of them married women, and he brought them to the forest. And he's dancing with them. And now he's going into the water of the Yamuna. And Krishna enters the water, followed swiftly by bees who were singing like the best of the Gandharvas. So Lord Krishna is compared to a lordly elephant. The elephants like to enter the water to cool their bodies. We know Gajendra, the story of Gajendra, how he had a big herd of elephants. He had his family elephants, and they all went into the water to cool their bodies and to relax. So the same way, Lord Krishna is going into the Yamuna to cool off after the dance, after the Rasa Leela. Excuse me, just a minute, let me drink some. So the example is given about the elephant may break the dikes in a paddy field. So it's like this. Lord Krishna, he broke Vedic morality, worldly morality. Lord Krishna is concerned more for his devotees than he is for worldly morality and Vedic morality. He's more concerned to give pleasure to his devotees. And after dancing Rasa Leela, he enters into the Yamuna water and enjoys the company. All right, text 23.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My dear king, in the water, Krishna found himself being splashed on all sides by the laughing gopis who looked at him with love. As the demigods worshipped him by showering flowers from their airplanes, the self-satisfied Lord took pleasure in playing like the king of the elephants. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaji. So Lord Krishna's enjoying there. The demigods are worshipping him. The gopis are all laughing at him and splashing him in love. The demigods are showering flowers from the aeroplane. Lord Krishna is the king of the elephants. Go ahead, text 24.
Maharaj, I have a question. May I ask now?
Well, okay.
We see this particular point of the self-satisfied Lord repeating again and again throughout Bhagavatam and also in this particular text. But here we see that the self-satisfied Lord took pleasure in playing like the king of elephants. So if someone is self-satisfied, then how does he get happiness?
Well, he gets happiness in giving happiness to his devotees. Right? I was saying he's Bhaktavatsala. So when he can make his devotees happy, that's pleasing to the Lord. We like to serve Krishna, we like to give service to Krishna. Krishna likes to give service to his devotees. So it's not for Lord Krishna's pleasure, but it's for the pleasure of his devotees.
So when the demigods were showering flowers from their airplanes, so he was satisfied because although he's self-satisfied, but then in this case, how is it that he's getting pleasure through someone serving him if he's self-satisfied?
Well, he's getting pleasure through satisfying the devotees. The Lord took pleasure in playing like the king of the elephants. And that's playing, playing. We heard about playing, like a child plays with the reflection. And so the king of the elephants, he's with all the other elephants. He's the king of the elephants. He enjoys being with his family of elephants. So Lord Krishna is taking pleasure in being with his family of devotees. All of these different gopis, they're all his devotees. And he's taking pleasure in being with them and keeping them happy and satisfied. He is self-satisfied himself. He doesn't need, but for the pleasure of the gopis. The gopis want to please Krishna, so Krishna reciprocates with them. His duty is to accept the service offered, and then he gives service in return to them. He doesn't want to be served, but he has to accept it.
So from what I understand, Maharaj, is that he's happy that the demigods and the gopis, or let's just say the living entities in general, they're doing their duties, and that is what is giving him pleasure. That they're doing his duties in a way that satisfies him, although he's self-satisfied.
Yes, we know from the Bhagavad Gita, Lord, Lord Krishna said, engage your mind in thinking of me, become my devotee, like this. The Lord gave different things, instructions to devotees, what they should do. And so these gopis, they're doing everything. They've given everything for Krishna. They've surrendered everything for Krishna. And Lord Krishna has to accept their service. They're coming and offering service. He cannot refuse it. So they want to please Krishna. Krishna is pleasing them. Lord Krishna, he has no desire. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't need any. He didn't need to dance Rasa Leela, but he did it for the pleasure of his devotees.
So Maharaj, from what I understand is that the king is always self-satisfied, but if the citizens do their duties and offer the results to the king in the form of tax or whatever, then the king also becomes happy. Is it like a good way of understanding this?
Well, yes, but that's a very, it's much more on the material platform. Lord Krishna is not looking for anything physically in terms like taxation, but he wants, we'll give up our attachment to our own sense gratification and simply want to serve him, simply want to do service for Krishna, not that we're giving, I'm bringing this, I'm giving you this. That's more karma yoga. We think, I'm giving this to Krishna. But the mood of bhakti is we've surrendered everything to Krishna. That we've already given, everything is Krishna's. It's all his. And it's all Krishna's, and our only duty is to just serve according to what was arranged by Krishna. And Krishna had arranged for them to come to the forest of Vrindavan. He had arranged as we heard, Rasa Leela, it wasn't arranged by Krishna, it was the arrangement of Krishna's potency, the Rasa Leela potency.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, text 24.
24. Then the Lord strolled through a small forest on the bank of the Yamuna. This forest was filled to its limits with breezes carrying the fragrances of all the flowers growing on the land and in the water. Followed by his entourage of bees and beautiful women, Lord Krishna appeared like an intoxicated elephant with his she-elephants. Purport, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, it is implicit here that after playing in the water, Lord Krishna had his body massaged and that he then dressed himself in the favorite clothing before resuming his pastimes with the gopis.
All right, thank you. So Lord Krishna enjoyed playing in the water. They splashed each other with water. They felt refreshed. And there's beautiful, fragrant breezes blowing, and the fragrance of all the flowers growing on the land and in the water, and the bees and beautiful women. Lord Krishna is like an intoxicated elephant with his she-elephants. Of course, Lord Krishna is not an intoxicated elephant. It's just simply an example which is given. But in some ways it's appropriate that he's appearing like that. But Lord Krishna is always the Supreme Lord. But he's playing the part to please his devotees. All right. So then text 25 comes.
Although the gopis were firmly attached to the Lord Krishna, whose desire are always fulfilled, the Lord was not internally affected by any mundane sex desires. Still, to perform his pastime, the Lord took advantage of all those moonlit autumn night, which inspire poetic descriptions of transcendental affair. Purport. It is difficult to translate into the English the word rasa, which is indicate the spiritual bliss derived from one's love relationship with the Lord Krishna. That bliss is experienced in the midst of a spiritual pastime with the Lord and his devotees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explained the great Vaishnava pure like Vyasa, Parsara, Jayadev, Leela Sukha, Bilvavangur, Thakur, Prabhura, Gaudan Acharya, and Srila Rupa Goswami have tried in their poetry to describe the conjugal affair of the Lord. These descriptions are never complete. However, since the Lord pastime are unlimited, those attempts to glory such a pastime is still going on in and will go on forever. Lord Krishna arranged the extraordinary seasons of beautiful autumn night to enhance his loving affair, and those autumn night have inspired transcendental pure since time immemorial. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So definitely people like to write poetry about things like Lord Krishna's pastimes. And the Rasa Leela is one of the most famous of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. With Lord Krishna coming together with his devotees and enjoying spiritual bliss. So we're told how people like to write poetry about these things. Sometimes they will paint pictures about these things. But we should understand that it is all the internal potency of the Lord. There was no mundane material desire there. And the gopis were attached to Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna was attached to the gopis, but on the spiritual platform. So Lord Krishna took advantage of the most beautiful place in the creation, Vrindavan, and on the most beautiful night of the year, and the moonlight, the full moon night of the autumn season, with the most beautiful girls, the gopis, the young girls. In this way, Lord Krishna was able to enjoy. He likes to enjoy. He likes to enjoy the fullest. He wants the ultimate pleasure. And so it was arranged like this by the Lord's internal potency, Yoga Maya, that Lord Krishna could have that opportunity, being together with all his devotees and performing the rasa dance. So it's glorified even today. All right, so that's the description of the Rasa Leela. Now we're going to hear Maharaj Parikshit's questions. He's got 2 questions, and these questions are very important. In the rest of the chapter, we will hear how these 2 questions are answered by Sukadeva Goswami. Right? So first of all, who's going to read for us? Text 26.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Text 26 to 27. Parikshit Maharaj said, O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, has descended to this earth along with his plenary portion to destroy irreligion and re-establish religious principles. Indeed, he is the original speaker, follower, and guardian of moral laws. How then could he have violated them by touching other men's wives? Purport. As Sukadeva Goswami was speaking, King Parikshit noticed that some persons seated in the assembly on the bank of the Ganges were harboring doubt about the Lord's activities. These doubtful persons were karmis, jnanis, and others who were not devotees of the Lord. To clear up their doubts, King Parikshit asks this question to their behalf, on their behalf, sorry.
Thank you. So Maharaj Parikshit is the ideal student to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and he is expressing this question to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is actually pleased to get this kind of question. Certainly it's important. You know, when we hear classes and discussions on the Shastra, it's very important for us to also be able to ask suitable questions to bring out more meaning, to help us to understand more fully the meaning behind the scriptures. So here in this particular case, we've been hearing a very, very confidential pastime. You know, it's not really our business to know about people's confidential activities. You know, somebody may be in family life and you don't want to know. I mean, it's not our business to inquire about, you know, what do you do with your family? What do you do with your wife, you know, when you're at home at night, you know? We don't want to get personal and involved in these things. It's not our business. There has to be some confidentiality in family life. So here is Lord Krishna. He is the personality of Godhead, and he's been enjoying with his internal potency. It's not actually an affair for the common public to see. But somehow, as we know today, a lot of people do know about Rasa Leela. And you get people, as I said, sometimes you get the Christians who come and they ask like this: how can you worship a God who steals butter? How can you worship a God who dances with other men's women in the forest? Like this. So of course Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also was involved in Jagannath Puri at one point. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in charge of the Puri temple, he had to deal with someone who was claiming to be an incarnation of God, and he was having women come to his ashram nightly, and he was having so many illicit affairs and corrupting young women. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this man arrested and taken to court. And this man had yoga powers, powerful yoga powers, and the man was fasting. When he got arrested, he fasted. He did not eat for many, many days. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's health was very much affected. He was in difficulty, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very determined that this man has to be punished. He has to be corrected. And finally, the man was sentenced to prison for several years. And at that time, one man took the initiative to come and cut the hair from the head of this so-called incarnation of Vishnu. He cut his hair. And when he cut off his hair, then the man lost all of his power. The yogi lost all of his power. We see these yogis, they like to have long hair, and if you cut their hair, they have no more power. We get our power by shaving our heads, by cutting our hair. But these mystic tantric yogis, they like to have long hair and they get some power from it. Anyway, that was one example which took place there in the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jagannath Puri. And from time to time it happens. You get people who claim to be incarnations of God. And again they get found out to be corrupt and to be exploiters of innocent people. So here Maharaj Parikshit is asking about this, He wants to understand, this is his first question, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he's come to establish real religious principles. So how can he violate them himself? By touching other men's wives. That he's the original speaker and he's supposed to guard the moral laws. How could he go against everything by touching other men's wives? So this question is a very good question, and it's pointed out here in the purport that not everybody in the audience who was hearing Sukadeva Goswami, not everyone was a devotee. Some of them were karmis and jnanis, and some were just materialists. So it's important to clear up their doubts about this thing. So this is one question, right? And then text 28.
Maharaj, may I ask a question?
Okay.
Yeah, Maharaj, here in this purport, as it is mentioned, the doubt has been asked for Kammis, Jnanis and others. So then, does it mean that if we are Karmis or if we are in this category, even if we hear Srimad Bhagavatam from first canto till 9th canto, because the people who assembled here along with Parikshit Maharaj, they were hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from first canto till 9th canto from Shukadev Goswami. So still there is no chance for them to elevate to the devotee level, so that they are not able to understand the pastime in the proper context. In that case, where we are standing, that are we able to understand the pastime in the correct sense?
Well, many people may hear Srimad Bhagavatam, but it doesn't mean that they've accepted everything. You can just sit and be present in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it doesn't mean that they've fully accepted or understood everything which is being presented. So these persons were karmis and jnanis. These people also read Srimad Bhagavatam, and they put their own philosophical ideas into it. We get the benefit from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam because of the purports. But what was happening when Sukadeva Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam? He was speaking, he's not speaking purports. If we were not having the purports, we would also have problems. Just like one time, Jananivas Prabhu told me, he said, Prabhupada was, they were having class from Bhagavad Gita, and they were reading the Bhagavad Gita. They were using some other person. We didn't have our own Bhagavad Gita. We were using another Bhagavad Gita, somebody who was not devotee. But Prabhupada was using it and giving class. So later on, when they got their own Bhagavad Gita, we saw that, the translation is the same. The verse is translated the same. And so they asked Prabhupada, they said, is there really any difference between their Bhagavad Gita and our Bhagavad Gita? And Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, you have to understand the purport. It's not just the verse, but the purport has to be there. And you get Mayavadi purports and you get devotee purports. So with the help of the purport, then we can understand the real meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you just simply hear just one verse after another without hearing the purports, you're not going to get the same benefit. You understand?
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much. But again, now just one more clarification in this regard, that in the Bhagavad Gita, as it is mentioned that the Chaturvida Bhajande Mam. So among the four people, Jnanis are considered as better because they understand things in the proper way. But even as being a Jnani, they cannot come to that level of a devotee, because Krishna himself says that there is a chance for them to become a devotee because they know things, or they're trying to understand things in the proper way. So, but here it's mentioned Karmis, Jnanis are also among them. So even for them, they cannot like, because of course you clearly mentioned, Your Holiness has clearly mentioned, Maharaj, that with the purport we can understand, but definitely the people who were listening along with Parikshit Maharaj were not as per our level. They were definitely much elevated, because those definitely they were fortunate enough to hear from Shukadeva Goswami directly. So and so being a jnani is, they there is there not a chance for them to come to the level of a devotee, even
Well,
hearing?
you're quoting Bhagavad Gita, but Bhagavad Gita says, Bahunam Gyanmanam Ante Gyanavam Prapajante. The Gyanis make advancement very slowly. After many lifetimes, one who is actually in knowledge, Samahatma Sadurlabha. Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurlabha. One who is actually a jnani will surrender to Krishna. But a lot of jnanis, they're jnanavada. Their path is simply to the impersonal Brahman. Their only interest is in the Brahman. They're not devotees. And so there's a lot of jnanis, their interest is just to the Brahman. Sayuja Mukti. They have no other desire than Sayuja Mukti.
Yes.
So these kind of people, they're doubtful people.
Yeah, clear. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
All right. So this is the one question they want to know. And the Maharaj Parikshit wants to know, how could Lord Krishna have violated this moral principle that he's supposed to be the Supreme Lord, right? And then the second question, right? Read text number 28.
28. O faithful upholder of vows, please destroy our doubt by explaining to us what purpose the self-satisfied Lord of the Yadus had in mind when he behaved so contemptibly. Purport. It is clear to the enlightened that these doubts will arise in the minds and hearts of persons unfamiliar with the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, since time immemorial, great sages and enlightened kings like Parikshit Maharaja have openly raised these questions to provide the authoritative answer for all posterity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you can see there, Aptakama, right? We were talking about Aptakama. Here's Aptakama also there, the first words in text 28, self-satisfied. So he's there, Maharaj Parikshit is asking, he said, what was the purpose? Why Krishna behaved so contemptibly? How could he do what was his purpose? What was his reason for doing this? He must have had some purpose in doing it. So he wants Sukadeva Goswami to explain why Lord Krishna did this. And so we will hear that tomorrow. All right? Are there any final questions?
Yes, Maharaj, this aptokama word we use that those who are satisfied, self-satisfied, of course, in their material affair, means external affairs, they are satisfied. They are more interested in external affairs and they are satisfied. Material world, that we discussed.
Yeah.
So here, here aptokama word is used for the Lord.
Yes. Well, we said Lord Krishna is Atmarama, he's also Aptakama. But he's not like ordinary Aptakamas or Atmaramas. He's transcendental. Right? Lord Krishna is all these things, but he's above all that. He's not in the ordinary sense. He's self-satisfied.
Of course, he is satisfied, self-satisfied in transcendental also and material also.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so if there are no more questions, we'll finish here tonight. And we'll
Thank you
have
very
class,
much.
final class tomorrow. We'll finish this chapter 33. Okay, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much for your association and
Jai
classes.
Ho.
Tomorrow I will travel, Maharaj.
Thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.